In 1911, driven to achieve the ultimate Antarctic goal, two explorers, Britain's Sir Robert Falcon Scott and Norway's Roald Amundsen, raced towards the South Pole with the single-minded aim of being the first to arrive and the first to mark the event for their respective nations. Unknown to both, and to many others in the world, both then and now, a third competitor in the race was not far behind, and indeed was close enough to cross the path of Roald Amundsen, who was the eventual winner of the Great Southern Dash. This third competitor was Nobu Shirase, a Japanese adventurer, self-styled explorer, and former lieutenant in the Japanese army. The ship Kainan Maru, originally named Dainai Hokomaru, in some sources Hokomaru, was built around 1909, designed as a fishing vessel for use in northern waters. Her double-layered hull was constructed with ice navigation in mind, with a keel of zelkoa, hard Japanese elm, and pine, stanchions of pine, frames of zelkoa, and cypress. The hull was sheathed with iron, with additional protection at the stem. She was rigged as a barkentine, measuring 30.48 meters length and 7.85 meters beam, with a keel-to-deck depth of 3.96 meters. Gross register tonnage was 204. In September 1910, the ship was acquired with funds provided by Okuma Shigenobu, the former Japanese prime minister, who registered the vessel in his own name to act as the expedition vessel for the proposed Japanese Antarctic expedition. Renamed Kainan Maru, translated as the Opener Up of the South, or Southern Pioneer. At the suggestion of the naval hero Admiral Togo, the ship was overhauled in preparation for the expedition. Further iron protection plating was added, and she was given an 18-horsepower auxiliary engine. The interior was reorganized to provide a coal capacity of 55 tons. The expedition was the brainchild of Nobu Shirase, who believed that Japan should take its place alongside the Western powers in the exploration of Antarctica. Planning all the while to be first to the North Pole, Shirase was to have his plans upset when, on April 6, 1909, the American explorer, Robert E. Peary, claimed to have achieved that goal. Not to be put off by a mere formality, Shirase turned his attention 180 degrees to focus on the Antarctic. Shirase's aim was a Japanese conquest of the South Pole. He was aware that a major expedition from Britain, Scott's Terra Nova expedition, was already in the field with the same objective. It would soon be joined by the Norwegian expedition under Roald Amundsen. So the Japanese venture would need to leave as early as possible to avoid being forestalled. However, government support and that of the learned societies proved hard to come by. A start date for the expedition was fixed for late November, but realistically, this was too late in the season for a successful Antarctic journey. Kainan Maru was by far the smallest of expedition vessels that had sailed to Antarctica at that time. She was smaller than Amundsen's Fram and much smaller than Scott's Terra Nova. Her 18-horsepower motor was seriously underpowered for work in the ice. By way of comparison, the auxiliary engines of Fram and Terra Nova were 180 and 140 horsepower, respectively. Under a display of bunting with the national ensign, the sun flag, and the special flag of the expedition, with the Southern Cross for emblem atop, the Kainan Maru finally left Tokyo on the 29th of November 1910, under her captain, Naokichi Nomura, an experienced sailor. The plan was to reach Antarctica, land, establish a winter station, and then, late in 1911, to make a dash for the South Pole. However, the late start meant that Kainan Maru did not reach Wellington, New Zealand, until 7th of February 1911. On the 11th of February, Kainan Maru left Wellington, soon encountering poor weather and much ice. As the ship moved further south, the lateness of the season became apparent. By 12th March, at a latitude of 74 degrees 16 minutes south and in sight of the Antarctic coast, the sea was beginning to freeze. Kainan Maru was in danger of becoming trapped and beset. Captain Nomura's skill avoided this fate, but a landing was impossible. The ship turned north and retreated to Sydney Harbor in Australia, arriving on the 1st of May to spend the winter there. In Sydney, the expedition was received initially with a mixture of scorn and suspicion. It required the intervention of Edgeworth David, the distinguished geologist who had accompanied Shackleton's Nimrod expedition in 1907-09 to convince the public that this was a serious expedition. The Japanese party was allowed to set up a temporary camp at Parsley Bay, overlooking the harbor, while Nomura returned to Japan to arrange finance for a second Antarctic voyage in the following summer. With this funding, the expedition was reprovisioned. Kainan Maru was overhauled in Sydney's Jubilee Dock, where she was re-rigged as a schooner. Shirase now recognized the impracticality of aiming for the South Pole and shifted the expedition's aims to those of science and surveying. Kainan Maru left Sydney on the 19th of November, carrying 2 years' provisions. The second voyage south proceeded relatively smoothly, without serious incident. On 10th of January, the Great Ice Barrier came into view. In the course of exploring the barrier edge, Kainan Maru encountered Amundsen's ship Fram, lying in the Bay of Whales while awaiting the Norwegian's return from his polar march. A few kilometers beyond this point, Kainan Maru found a suitable anchorage. The Japanese party now divided. One group, led by Shirase, formed the Dash Patrol and embarked on a southward sledge journey, not with the pole in mind, but to penetrate as far south as possible. Meanwhile, Kainan Maru, with the rest of the expedition, sailed further east to investigate King Edward VII Land. The Dash Patrol set out on the 20th January. On the 28th January, with supplies running low, they reached 80 degrees 5 minutes south before turning back. 3 days later, they regained the barrier edge, achieving on this return journey a sledging speed record. Kainan Maru arrived at King Edward VII Land on the 23rd of January, reaching a longitude of 155 degrees west, further east than any expedition up to that time. They also fixed the eastern boundary of the Great Ice Barrier at a point which they named Okuma Bay. After a few days' survey and exploration ashore, the land party was picked up by the ship, which returned to the Bay of Whales to retrieve Shirase's patrol. By 31st of January, all were aboard. The homeward journey began on the 4th of February. They reached Wellington on the 23rd of March and arrived in Tokyo Harbor on 19th of June to a great reception. Kainan Maru had traveled a total distance of 31,000 miles. Members of Amundsen's expedition, who saw her in the Antarctic, said that they would not have traveled half that distance in her. On its return to Japan, the expedition was lauded for its achievements, but was quickly forgotten. Kainan Maru was resold to her former owners and resumed work in the northern seas as a fishing boat. Details of her subsequent career and ultimate fate remain unknown. In February 1944, a Japanese fishing boat named Kainan Maru was sunk in the Gulf of Tonkin in a United States Army Air Force's attack, but it is not recorded whether this was the former expedition ship.